This video is part of the Adult Education series. It covers making inferences in the context of World War II.
Writers and analysts often use graphs to reveal trends, show relationships, and help audiences understand complex information at a glance. In the realm of government and economics, these visual tools can highlight patterns that may not be immediately obvious from text alone. For a reader, the responsibility lies not only in reading the graph but also in identifying the implications, the possible conclusions, causes, and effects that the visual data suggests. This narrative will explore how to identify implications from graphs, using a real-world example that compares government spending with economic growth over a recent 9-year period. Understanding graphs, key elements. When analyzing a graph related to government and the economy, it is important to pay attention to several key elements. Axes. The horizontal axis, x-axis, typically represents time or a specific variable, while the vertical axis, y-axis, shows the value of an economic indicator, such as GDP, unemployment rate, or government spending. Labels and units. Clear labels and units help us understand what is being measured and compared. Trends. Look for patterns over time, such as increases, decreases, or periods of stability. Comparisons. Some graphs compare multiple variables, such as government spending and economic growth, allowing us to see how they relate to each other. Annotations. Notes or markers may highlight significant events, such as policy changes or economic shocks. Take a look at this graph of government spending versus GDP growth from 2015 to 2023. Pay close attention to the trends and relationships. Step 1. Reading the data accurately. The first responsibility of the reader is to observe what the graph actually shows. For example, from 2015 to 2019, government spending as a share of GDP rose gradually from 18.5% to 19.8%. During this time, GDP growth fluctuated between 1.6% and 2.9%, generally indicating a stable but modestly growing economy. In 2020, there is a sharp spike in government spending to 25% of GDP. This coincides with a steep drop in GDP growth to -3.4%, indicating an economic contraction. In 2021, spending remained high, 23.5% of GDP, while GDP growth rebounded strongly to 5.7%. By 2022 to 2023, both spending and growth rates declined toward pre-2020 levels. Step 2. Identifying possible causes. Graphs do not always explain why changes occur, but they often point toward where to ask deeper questions. In this example, the spike in government spending in 2020 aligns with the COVID-19 pandemic, which prompted emergency relief measures, stimulus packages, and public health expenditures. The negative GDP growth in 2020 is likely due to pandemic-related shutdowns and disruptions in global trade. The strong rebound in 2021 may be partly linked to reopening economies, consumer spending increases, and government stimulus effects. Step 3. Considering the implications. Recognizing implications involves thinking beyond what is explicitly shown. Short-term stimulus effects. The 2021 rebound suggests that high levels of government spending can help boost economic recovery in the short term after a crisis. Sustainability concerns. Persistently high spending levels might raise questions about long-term fiscal health, debt accumulation, or inflation risks. Policy trade-offs. If spending supports economic growth during downturns, policymakers must decide how and when to scale back without harming recovery. Economic vulnerabilities. The drop in 2022 to 2023 growth rates may indicate that the post-crisis surge was temporary, and deeper structural economic issues could remain. Step 4. Evaluating limitations of the graph. Graphs, while powerful, have limitations. This chart shows correlation, not causation. Spending increases do not automatically cause growth or decline. omits other important variables, such as unemployment, inflation, and private investment. Uses annual data, which smooths out short-term fluctuations that could be important. A skilled reader recognizes these gaps and avoids overgeneralizing from limited information. This graph of government spending versus GDP growth from 2015 to 2023 tells a story: a stable pre-pandemic economy, a crisis-driven spike in spending, a dramatic recovery, and a return toward normal levels. Yet the implications go beyond numbers. They shape how we understand policy decisions, economic resilience, and the balance between short-term relief and long-term stability.
Let's check for understanding. Carefully read the following questions, pause the video, determine the best answer for each, and then restart the video to check your answer.
Refer to the given graph, which tracks the high temperature in a town over one calendar year. Of the days shown, between which two consecutive days did the peak temperature decrease the most? A. Between Tuesday and Wednesday. B. Between Wednesday and Thursday. C. Between Friday and Saturday. D. Between Monday and Tuesday. The correct response is D. Between Monday and Tuesday. How can trends in economic graphs be useful for analysis? A. Trends in graphs are only useful for predicting the weather. B. Trends in graphs always show random fluctuations. C. Trends in graphs can help identify patterns such as growth, decline, or stability. D. Trends in graphs are not important for economic analysis. The correct response is C. Trends in graphs can help identify patterns such as growth, decline, or stability. During what year was the third-party presidential support the lowest? A. 1984. B. 1964. C. 2004. D. 1988. The correct response is B. 1964. Why are comparisons between variables important in economic graphs? A. Comparisons in graphs allow us to see how different variables relate to each other. B. Comparisons in graphs are only used to rank variables. C. Comparisons in graphs always show which variable is more important. D. Comparisons in graphs are not relevant in economics. The correct response is A. Comparisons in graphs allow us to see how different variables relate to each other. What is necessary when trying to identify causes from patterns in economic graphs? A. Identifying causes from graph patterns requires considering possible external factors and events. B. Identifying causes from graph patterns is always straightforward. C. Identifying causes from graph patterns does not require any background knowledge. D. Identifying causes from graph patterns is only possible with mathematical formulas. The correct response is A. Identifying causes from graph patterns requires considering possible external factors and events. Conclusion. Graphs in government and economic contexts often condense vast amounts of data into a format that reveals patterns quickly. However, the real skill lies in interpreting those patterns and drawing thoughtful implications. Readers must ask, what is happening? Why might it be happening? What does it mean for the future? By following a process, accurate reading, cause identification, implication recognition, and awareness of limitations, students, citizens, and policymakers alike can become more informed and critical consumers of visual economic information. Graphs are essential for understanding the implications of government policies on the economy. By carefully analyzing trends, patterns, and relationships, we can make informed judgments about the effectiveness of different approaches. While graphs provide valuable insights, it is important to consider the broader context and use additional evidence to support conclusions. As future citizens and decision makers, developing the ability to interpret economic graphs will help you engage thoughtfully with public policy debates and understand the forces that shape our society.
This has been a production of DNJ Designs and Mathman1962. If you like this video, click on the thumbs up. If you want to be notified when new videos are posted, click the bell. And if you want to see more videos like this one, click on the subscribe button.